Okay, Brownie, you're on.
That's not fair.
Go.
Okay, so a little known fact about me is that in 2009, I was a world champion uh, in archery. And so he has to behave and do all the talking. And if he doesn't say anything that I don't want him to say, well, then I just get my bow out and,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. All right. You did have to open up that box, didn't you, Kyle? Anyway, yeah, she's my champion. Or champion, yes. Okay. Well, anyway, Hope Advanced. Let me give some background as why we do what we do today. And 53 years ago this week, I was in a interesting situation on Christmas Eve, 1967, a senior in high school. Wow. It's a long time ago, guys. Very few people on this call know that. Mariano, I don't think you got that much age on you. Anyway, but somewhere about November of 1967, my dad and I had a conversation, and I told him, I said, the grades aren't going to be good, 3 Fs, 2 Ds, and an incomplete. So let's end the pain, sign off, let me go in the military. And what I was really telling him, though he didn't know that, I've been suicidal for years. No particular reason. I was a typical teenager, but I buried several of my friends over the years. The last casket I carried was in 1967. My neighborhood friend, ex-girlfriend, good friend, and that just about put me under. So anyway, my point was to my dad is that, look, I ain't got the guts to kill myself, so let me go in the military and we'll just do it the good old American way. I didn't tell him that, but make a long story short, through a series of meetings with some doctors, they determined I was clinically depressed. They didn't say I was suicidal because nobody knew I'd been thinking that way. But anyway, so December 1967, I'd been a couple weeks in a facility, not locked down. I still had regular clothes and got to use forks, knives, and glasses. But I had an encounter actually right after Christmas. Had a conversation with somebody while I was in the hospital, and I got a little bit emotional, walked out into a little chapel. And last thing I remember when I did that is I got surrounded by a cloud and I heard a voice. Yeah, I hear voices. I still hear it today, but it said, Tim, you're to live, if for no other reason but to help other people. Well, now we'll fast forward to today. That's exactly what Brownie and I get to do. We have the honor, the privilege, the responsibility to work with people that, for whatever reason, have gone off the rails in life. A few quick backstories. Some of you know this, some of you don't, so I'll just run down them quickly. 2014, which wasn't that long ago, got a phone call. They found my sister dead in her bed, 62 years old, 3 years dead, so she was in full decomp.
3 months.
3 days, excuse
Yeah,
me.
I'm
sorry, I need correction here. 3 days, and it was acute alcoholism. From age 14 until 62 when she died, she'd gone off the rails, drugs, drinking, just all kinds of weird stuff, and ended a life that was pretty useless. Now, you say you're judging your sister. Well, I'm just judging the life she lived. So anyway, so here we have a wasted life. 2006 had a 10 years, excuse me. I don't know where I'm getting these numbers today. 2006, on my birthday, September 8th, my cousin's husband passed away, died in front of his son. They'd just been, his 12-year-old son, they'd just been on a run together, jogging, if you will. And son had gone to get dad a bottle of water, came back, and dad was dying in the driveway, and he passed before the ambulance ever got there. 2 years later, that 12-year-old was a roaring alcoholic. We go all the way to 2016, which was the very time I was coming out here to Colorado. Kyle was his name. He was out of rehab for the 15th time, 15 times since 2006. His last rehab was a forced rehab because he had stolen from his girlfriend's parents, and of course they pressed charges, and he spent 6 months in jail. So that was 2016. That same year, I get the call that he's gone down with fentanyl and meth. He survived maybe 2 months off of drugs once he got out of the last rehab. And then in 2019, just a year or 2 years ago, this February, coming February, he passed in his sleep. He'd spent the last 2+ years of his life in a wheelchair or in a bed in a nursing home under full care. He was essentially a vegetable, a wasted life. The kid was brought up in the best of circumstances, but something T-boned him. That was his dad's death. And he just was never able to recover from it. Now, we're not blaming anybody for that, but this happens, unfortunately, all the time. There's other stories, but I'll give you a short one. Some of you know Rick Baker, Becky Baker Foundation. Rick's has a son named Tim, who several years ago, I'm going to put it in the 5 or 6 year range, had a major accident up in Denver and was pretty badly hurt, and it was a long recovery, and part of his recovery was opioids. Within 2 years, Tim was on the street. Rick found him, got him into rehab, dropped 30 grand. 6 days later, Tim ran off, and so did Rick's 30 grand. So, and unfortunately, this is not an uncommon story. But Rick once again got him, found him, got him into a rehab, Christian rehab, men only, and it took. Tim was able to recover from all that. And in the meantime, that rehab had a relationship with Home Depot, and Tim was able to get some work at Home Depot. And as of last year, actually it's going to be, a year and a half ago, May of 2019, he's managing 2 Home Depot stores. And you go, well, that's a great success. It is, until you know the rest of the story. He went through, Tim did 45, through rehab with 45 guys. 43 of them are dead. Only 2 survived. And that was Tim and a friend of his, actually. Well, that's why we do what we do. We're not saying that what other people, organizations, government does isn't of value, and we're not saying that we're better, but we get a piece of the action, if you will. We have a part of the mission to do. And probably the best way to explain what we do is to give you a living example we're working with right now. We have a couple that we came across through our church, found out their situation. And that's how we find most situations, not through our church, but just through referral. And once we found them, we realized after we talked to them a couple times and talked to people who had known them for several months, so it wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction, we determined that we needed to work with them. And they really wanted to do something, not get something, but they wanted to do something. So over the last 90 days, that first of all, their scenario was they were trying to come here from California. A vehicle broke down, ended up getting repoed. Their identity, all their identification was stolen. And they somehow got to Colorado. And they were on the street living in tent. And then somehow came across, I don't remember the details because I don't get into those all the time, but we got to know them through our church because they've been doing some work, and we'd seen them several times. We prayed with them. We didn't know them, but we knew of them, and then determined back in October that we needed to get involved with them. So we did. And where we were then is they needed housing. They needed some way to get their identity back on track. And I'm telling you, for us, we got it made, guys. If you can imagine what it's like, number one, to lose your identity. Number two, right in the middle of COVID. I mean, anything that was hard before was triply hard now. Okay. Um, so they needed everything that you can think of. Well, here's where we are today. So number one, they didn't have their social security cards. Fortunately, they had numbers, but that doesn't mean anything. And you could go see no one about that. So we got their birth certificates. So that was a long process. Then the birth certificates had to go to Social Security by mail. Okay. I hate giving anybody anything of the originals, but that's the only way you could do it. And then they had to do everything they did. They had to do 2 or 3 times because the system is really broken right now. All right. So finally got that done. The female in this particular case starts her new job next week, the 31st of December. She'll be gainfully employed. The day before, she has going to DMV to get her actual photo ID. If you have any idea what it's like to lose your photo ID and get one in today's world, it's taken 45 days just to get the appointment to go get the photo ID. All right. But she got that all navigated. There's a bunch of other hoops she's had to jump through, but they've all been done. And she did them on her own, but she was able to be stabilized on a computer and reliable Wi-Fi. I mean, it's been a monstrous. She's probably had to spend close to 200 hours just to get where she is now and be normal again. All right. So all that's done. Her soon-to-be husband, they're getting married January 1st, by the way, which is, God's no respecter of circumstances, and his calendar is a whole lot different than ours. It seems like it takes forever, and then all of a sudden it happens at once. But anyway, his birth certificate is now in the hands of Social Security, so we expect to see that back soon. Then he can go to DMV, get an appointment, get his picture ID, and become real again in the world of workaday world. They were just able, today we're turning in the paperwork for him to a set of circumstances. One of our employees at our thrift store who needs to now live with her mother had a lease on a place, and they're taking over that lease. And for the next 5 months, they're rock solid in terms of having a place to live. It gives them time, new jobs, get organized, and move on to their next step. And now they got all their teeth are fixed. Okay. Chiropractically, they are in alignment. And medically, they're rock solid. But it's taken all this time. And they could not do that being on the street. They had some help from some other Catholic charities, not picking on them. They're doing a great job, but they are overwhelmed. And volunteers are doing the work. And unfortunately, volunteers aren't always up to snuff getting the job done, nor do they have the authority to get some things done. So put it this way, we didn't keep track of all this in writing, but all we've done is help them get stabilized. And it's amazing because their future was going to be freeze to death on the street and give up. Now, this has nothing to do with us. We just got the honor to be able to work with them and help them get stabilized. And we believe we'll probably have friends for life, but that's neither here nor there. We got the opportunity to step up and do something. Okay, and every situation with every person we work with is every bit different. Some of them have some of the same issues that we've experienced in this last year, but it's getting people stabilized. That's the issue. We all know the example in the Bible is you build your house on a rock, all the wind and the rain, which will come, is not going to blow it off a solid foundation. Build it on sinking sand, yeah. And today's world, just quickly statistics, 50% of all people, and I'm being general, but I know my number is low, that go off the rails in life, okay, do not recover or recover very well. But if jail or prisons involved, 75% fail. Within 36 months, they go back to the very thing they didn't want to be in, and they were never going to go back to again, but they end up going back. 75%, and that's, to the best of my knowledge, that figure is 10% low than the actual, okay? But the point is, what do you do? Well, all we can do is what we can do one at a time. Hope Advance plans to build a model and go far beyond where we are now, but it'll be on the same basis, and we want to take it everywhere where it's needed when we got population of any consequence. So I'm saying 150,000 or more. We believe our next area is going to be Pueblo. All right, so I'm going to get off that subject real quick and tell you how are we doing on time, Mariano? I don't even know.
Keep rolling, you're fine. I'll tell you.
Okay. Our job, besides working with people, is making connections. And that's what we do. We keep connecting and connecting and connecting and connecting. And that's networking, if you will. Sometimes it's somebody we just meet. And much of it, though, is through the various associations with network groups. And we have had so much help and so much encouragement. And we feel like we have jumped into a pot that'll never run out of resources because of the people we've met. So in the course of this, about, 3 months ago, we got to meet someone, and that someone had a partner, real estate investors, and now we've been asked to vet people for affordable housing in a development that's going to be taking place in Pueblo. Why Pueblo? Because the manufacturer of steel homes is there. The property, there's one particular 10-acre tract in Pueblo that the city wants to have something done with, and is going to be in full cooperation with an investment-based affordable housing venture, if you will, that's going to take place in Pueblo, but it's going to be a model to go all over the place. And it just seemed like a natural to the investors that we would be the people to vet people. You know, pulling somebody's credit, come on, Marisol, are you still on here? But anyway, or Karen, just and John in the insurance business, pulling your credit is some reflection of who you are. But when the rubber meets the road and your credit sucks or you ain't got none, credit's not the issue. It's who you are. You got a job. You're moving forward in life, et cetera, et cetera. So we step away, one, from our ministry side into becoming a, if you will, housing, I'm not sure what even word to use here, housing representative for affordable housing, but it really furthers what we do, because people in messes, historically or currently, especially financially, don't need to be told how stupid, dumb, and terrible they are. They need to get a plan and how to move forward. So it goes back to Hope Advance says we help people to their best life. Well, we never expected to be tasked with this particular opportunity, but we have been. And man, we're so excited. We're just beside ourselves. Because we're dealing with everything from sober housing to unwed mothers, et cetera. Was that a high sign there? I don't know. Okay, you're just scratching your nose. All right. Anyway, so I don't want to ramble on here, but again, what we do is we help people get stabilized. And how do you do that? Everybody's situation is different. Mariano would refer us to a guy we've been working with for months. Have we done anything specifically? Probably not, other than talk straight with the guy, help him make some better decisions, and help him navigate where he's still going. And all I can say is, if I were going to put up a scale of where he was and where he is now, I'd say he was about a 3, and he's probably about a 6 now. And he's got an opportunity to move in a great direction. And we spent some time, okay, but it all boils down to we're a stabilizing factor in his life right now. He looks to us for some mentoring. He gets to make all his own decisions. He's a complete adult in his 60s. Anyway, so stabilization is the key. People come to us by referral. We've actually had some people walk into our new location. More importantly, is that we're just there and we start discussion with the people with a piece of paper and a pencil. And then we just decide together, all of us, if we can help them And we do that at no cost, no obligation, for as long as they're willing to have us help them. Okay. It's really that simple. Okay. Thank you. We started an enterprise a couple of months ago called Lightly Used, which is our thrift store. And we just think that was a good idea. Now, when I look at the books, sometimes I'm going, dang, this is costing me money. Well, it is right now. Dylan, you can speak to that. But we're growing, and we are growing up, not down. We're getting known. Obviously, just through word of mouth is the main thing. We're not doing some big advertising campaign. But Lightly Used is right there beside our offices on North Circle, right beside Safeway at Circle and Galley. Open Monday through Saturday, except for major holidays. I'll let you figure out the major holidays this Friday and next Friday. Anyway, and we really have good clothing at a unique price point. It's only $1, $3, $5, $7, or $9, and that includes the tax. So if I got a $50 item and it's on the rack, you're going to pay $9 for it. It's that simple. We don't buy inventory. Inventory is all donated. You don't get a tax deduction. But what happens with profits as we develop them is that we have 10 different nonprofits, Hope Advance being one of them, but things like Becky Baker Foundation, Ronald McDonald House, St. Jude's, Tunnels to Towers, but 10 of them that we support on a monthly basis. And so we're excited about that, and that's beginning to build momentum. Well, there's a lot more to say. I don't want to just stretch it out for the sake of it, but I will say this: Hope Advanced, starting in January, we're now having our website completely redone, and I'll announce this via email and networking. Starting in January, if you want to support us on a regular basis, you'll be able to go to our website, yourhopeadvance.com, press to donate, and you'll be able to go in there and you can give us anything you want to in an amount, but we're asking people to give $8 a month and to do it monthly, just like you're already used to on the other things you may support or make payments on. $8 a month to help support the expenses of Hope Advanced. 95 cents of every dollar that goes in goes directly to the expenses of Hope Advanced, which is rent on our location. We do a lot of events, and it's, lights and rent, okay? Not some salary for me or for Brownie, but we are going to bring on a full-time person, we believe, part-time in the beginning, full-time in 2021. That'll be part of the staff. And of course, we're looking for funds to do that, and between profits from the thrift store and donation base. So listen, we really appreciate the opportunity to be part of VetNet. VetNet has been an anchor in our lives and our ministry, what we're doing, and we really appreciate all of you. And we're thankful we get to show up here on Tuesday mornings. Thank you.